So what is going on with the Merlin Ride Access Pass update? That is what we are here to discuss today. So if you're joining me live, say hi down in the chat box. If you are watching on replay, then please comment, say hi. I would love to hear all your opinions as we go through on your own individual experiences. And if you're listening on the podcast, hello to you too. Yes, you can listen to these episodes on the podcast as well. Anyway, I think we just need to get into it. My name's Rhiannon Morgan. Everyone calls me Rhi. If you're new around here, hello, welcome. I am from a very neurosparkly family. I have 4 children with autism. I was diagnosed with ADHD at age 40. Welcome if you have not been around here, and if you're also old around here, welcome back. Without further ado, I think we just need to dive straight into it, don't we? We do. Okay, so there has been a huge update to the Merlin Ride Access Pass this week, if you didn't know, and we're going to explain. So some of you are going to be up to speed, so apologies, we're going to recap some of the stuff. If some of you I know are very much up to speed on this, but some of you will be like, what is going on? So we're going to start at the very beginning, a very good place to start, as Maria from the Sound of Music likes to say, and just cover it all, what's actually going on. So this all started on the 2nd of February, which was Zara's birthday actually, so I was very much focused on that. And then suddenly my inbox is filling up. My DMs are absolutely blowing up about what is going on. Oh my gosh, have you seen the dreadful stuff about autism, Merlin? And I was just like, so I had so many of these messages. I was confused because initially I found it slightly hard to believe, as if there must be something going wrong, like there must be some miscommunication. I found it hard to believe that this was the case. So I looked into it. We'd all been sent an email, which was quite long and detailed. So I'm not going to read all of it. I'm going to pop it on the screen. Apologies if you're listening on the podcast afterwards. I'm going to pop it on screen for you here. If you want to read through, if you're on replay, you can pause it at your leisure. And basically saying that they are introducing some new measures, some of which are positive. Okay, so we want to try and be balanced. We want to try and see both sides of everything here, some of which are incredibly positive. So they're listening to guest feedback. Anyway, I'm clicking through so you can see the email. I've got it here on screen. Like I say, you can pause if you want to watch it, if you want to read the whole thing. But basically, in brief, in summary, what this incredibly long email said, what does it all mean? So one of the positive changes, let's start with something positive. We do not want to go super negative. We don't want to be all negative. Let's be balanced. They are doing away with the Ride Access Pass system that used to be different in every park, and they're unifying it across the parks, which makes a lot of sense because I used to make lots of videos about explaining how to use it in Legoland, how to use it. It was different. And in Alton Towers, you had to use this paper pass, which I'd always recommend people sticking in an envelope because it always flipping rains because we're in the UK. So instead, they're replacing with this with an app. So initially I'm thinking, cool, that's good. That's a positive change. So no more paper cards, unified across the parks, all good. I'm happy so far. They're taking out the middle section of what you used to have to do in order to get the pass. So it used to be you'd apply for a Nimbus access card, and then with that you'd apply for the Merlin card, and then you'd go on to book your Ride Access Pass in the park. So they're sort of cutting out that middle section, and they're using your Nimbus card to link straight to this app. So far, I'm like, okay, I think initially a lot of people, me included, missed the bit at the bottom of the email that caused the drama. Like I said, it was my daughter's birthday. I was just kind of skimming it. And so, unfortunately, as we dive deeper, but before that, really quick, let's just explain something that has changed that's nothing to do with Merlin. So that's that Nimbus in December 2025 just changed some of their symbols. So there's different symbols on the Nimbus access cards, which you apply for. It's like a proof of disability. I'm going to go into that. I've got some pictures to show you as we go through. But basically, they changed one of the symbols that used to mean difficulty with standing and queuing, and they split that into difficulty standing and difficulty with crowds. Now, this is not necessarily a problem. It's just something that happened. The problem has arisen with this part of the email. So this part of the email says, from the 2nd of February 2026, Merlin will be accepting the following Nimbus symbols for Ride Access Pass eligibility. Oh, I skipped ahead. Apologies. So they are accepting difficulty standing, difficulty with level access, and urgent toilet needs. So at this point, I think, okay, well, let's just see if we're still eligible. It says that, this says to me initially, how this email reads, that people with autism, so therefore people who would have the difficulty with crowds, which would have previously been difficulty with queuing, and difficulty with crowds and difficulty with queuing, I would say are different things, but that's by the by. But we've got 3 Nimbus access cards in the house, 2 of which were issued before December, and 1 of which got issued after December. I applied for more at the same time, but they required more information on one of the cards. Basically, it seems that Nimbus are asking for more and more proof. And the proof I sent through for one of the cards, I don't know whether it wasn't clear enough, they couldn't open it or something, and that went to my junk folder. So long story short, they didn't get the evidence they needed resent from me until after December. So we've got 2 cards issued before December under the old system and 1 issued after December under the new system, okay? So immediately I went to this card that we've got under the old system and logged it in to the app, and it said, yeah, cool, you can go ahead with booking. So as far as I could see, and bear in mind this is after the 2nd of February, as far as I could see, he was still eligible. So according to the email, this card would not be eligible, but yet it allowed me to log in. So I'm very, very confused at this stage. I'm still hopelessly optimistic, call me a massive optimist, but I'm thinking, this can't be right. There must be some sort of error. There must be some sort of miscommunication. Let's contact Merlin. By the way, hello to everyone in the comments. I will come say hi to you all. Please do keep commenting, but I just sort of want to get through this first section and then we will definitely come to everyone's comments. Okay, so I reach out to Merlin because I'm convinced there's been some confusion, and I am currently a Merlin Annual Pass collaborator, which means that we have been gifted Merlin Annual Passes, and I've been going into the parks to create content for Merlin that they've been able to share on their channels and things, just to showcase how to use the park, especially for neurodivergent families, and to showcase things like how to use Ride Access Pass. That's kind of what I've been showcasing specifically. So this was the email that I received back. Let's dive into this and pick it apart a little bit more. So they've said, our guests with additional accessibility needs have increasingly told us that the Ride Access Pass simply isn't working for them, particularly as demand has grown and queue times for these guests have increased. So I get it. Apparently they've been having these complaints that the Ride Access Pass system isn't working. Okay, I personally haven't found it difficult when we've visited the parks. We've found it's been good, fine. It's worked really well for us. So if that has been other people's, have other people found that? I don't know. Watching, if you've been to the parks under the old system, is that something you've found? I don't know. Let me know. I'd be really curious to find out. But clearly they've had, they're not making this up. Clearly they've had people complaining that it's not working and they had to do something. So, okay, cool. It's not working. They have to do something. Cool. Great. Okay. It's what to do is the thing, isn't it? So they say they've listened to the feedback and they've been looking at how we can improve the system and find a solution that is in the best interest of all guests. Okay. So I love that they've listened to feedback. That's cool. It's good to listen to feedback. But I can't honestly say that the solution that they came up with and the email they sent out on the 2nd of February was in the best interest of all guests, because if they follow those rules as they set them out on the 2nd of February, then that will exclude people with neurodiversities who struggle with crowds, struggle with queuing, end up with that symbol on their card that just says struggle with crowds, and they're not eligible for Ride Access Pass. And honestly, as a family with children with autism, so it's only the children that I applied for the Ride Access Pass for, because they're the ones that struggle with queuing and crowds. Honestly, visiting the parks without that just wouldn't be an option. And I know that's the case for so many families. I know so many of you in our community find the same. They find the Ride Access Pass means that the park is accessible. Okay, so this is part of the email that I sent back. And I would like to say at this point, by the way, that there was a slight delay in responding from my contact at Merlin, and I totally get it. This is a very difficult time for Merlin from a PR point of view. She wanted to make sure that what she was saying to me was what she was allowed to say to me, and someone, they've come up with they've had to have a narrative that's like consistent across the board. I get it. And working in the PR department or marketing department or social media department at Merlin at the moment, this week, must be horrific. because I'm sure they're probably not the people that came up with this policy, and yet they're dealing with huge backlash. And I can imagine if I was working there this week, I would probably not want to go into work. So, I can understand this is incredibly difficult because they can't possibly have imagined or foreseen this backlash, or they would not have written this email. So they seem to have been blindsided by it. So they say they've been listening to feedback, and they're trying to find the solution in the interest of all guests. Okay, so this is what was said else in the email. That's why we're making some positive changes, including a new digital app and transparent availability. I'm all for the digital app and transparent availability to help improve clarity and families plan with confidence. Like, yes, I'm all for it. Big clap. We like, consistency across the parks. Do it on the app. Do away with the bits of paper that get lost or soggy or whatever. It's slicking up the system. I'm all for it. We're also trialing, this is the first time I heard this, and this was sort of put out to the public shortly after I received this email, like a day or so afterwards. We're trialing a refined eligibility criterion during the brief opening period at February half term. However, we recognise this has raised concerns for some guests. Our commitment to supporting neurodiverse guests and those with mental health needs remains. Okay, so they are committed to supporting neurodiverse guests, but unfortunately, during this trial period, where it's like, this was the first I'd heard it was a trial period, because in the initial email it kind of read like this is what it is. There has been a lot of talk online about the backtracking and whatever, and yes, they're probably going to have to. Are they backtracking? Was it always going to be a trial? I don't know. Was it miscommunicated? We can never know. But unfortunately, as it stands during that period where they are trialing it, it is discriminating against neurodiverse guests. So it says we're listening carefully to the feedback and committed to keeping this approach under review going ahead for our main season openings in March. So I honestly have very high hopes that they are going to rectify this, because I can't honestly see how they're going to get away with just leaving it like this, because the backlash has been so huge. And let's face it, I think we all really want the same thing, don't we? What we want as guests as any guest is just a pleasant experience for our families. We want to go and have a lovely day out. For guests with families with additional needs, we want the support that our children or adults, whoever, in my case, my children, require in order to access the parks and enjoy them. Merlin want people to come to the parks and have a nice time. So we all want the same thing. So I am hoping that this can be resolved and rectified. I have previously offered to consult with Merlin about issues that impact neurodiverse families. I know I spoke to Bianca, I think she's left now, who used to be head of Alton Towers when we were up there for Scarefest before, saying I raised some concerns that we'd been invited up, but we weren't allowed to film in the scare mazes, we weren't allowed to film on rides, and I really wanted to say, do you know what, this would help neurodiverse families so much to prepare for these trips to the parks, because I don't know about you, anyone listening, if you have, I think autism specifically, if you have autism, your kids have autism, let me know if this is the same for you, but it's definitely the same for my kids. They enjoy things so much more when they know what to expect. So I was very much saying, look, please let me or someone go and film and show what these things are like in order to make things more accessible for neurodiverse guests, and you're more likely to get people feeling confident to book and things because their kids are going to be happy because they know what to expect. I didn't hear back from that, but I am still quite open to speaking with Merlin, and if I can be of any help at all, to kind of anyway. I'm hoping they are listening to feedback. I'm hoping they're listening to this. I am hoping. I mean, I don't think Merlin are listening to this, but if they are, if not, someone tag them. Someone send it to them. Please do. There are lots of things we can do, and we'll get to that. So I responded saying I need a bit more clarity. So I wanted to clarify a point because I was really unsure. I explained that my children's ride access passes had been accepted. Now all of them had been accepted. With the Ride Access Pass app, you can only have one in at a time. So what I did was I logged one in, and then you've got to like remove one account from the app and then log back in. So the only way you can have, say if I was to have one ride access pass for my son and another one for my daughter who's too short to go on some of the rides, so we're not on towers, I'd have to log my son in on my phone and my daughter in on my husband's phone if he was going off with her and we're doing separate rides. But basically you can only log in one account at a time on the app. So I had at this stage, before sending this email, logged in each of the kids and all of them came back as eligible. It gets more confusing though. It gets more confusing because they're not all eligible now. Okay, so this is since the 2nd of February. So I said I was really confused. I just said, basically, given that they've already been approved, Does this mean they'll remain eligible, or is the possibility this is going to change? So in my head at this stage, still very optimistic. I'm like, oh, actually, maybe it doesn't mean they're not eligible. It's just the wording in the email's wrong or something. So maybe people with autism, people with neurodiversities, people who struggle with crowds are still eligible, but you know, there's been some error in the email. That was what I was hoping for at this stage. The reply was she didn't have the more information. And I get it. It must be very difficult because there's only so much that the person I was speaking to was allowed to say. So no shade at all to the person I was emailing. It must be a very difficult situation because they can't, like, you can't have employees, I guess, going rogue and just speaking on behalf of Merlin. It all needs to come from whoever is in charge of this. So I guess if any individual Merlin employee that you've spoken to about this would all have to just refer to what they were allowed to say. So I get it. It must be very, very challenging. And the other thing that she did say in this email is, sadly, the Merlin Annual Pass Collaborator Scheme likely won't be continuing in 2026, which is really, really sad. We are currently Merlin Annual Pass collaborators. Our passes run out March, I think. So that means I'm no longer going to be a Merlin Annual Pass collaborator, which is really sad. But yeah, so just so you know, in case you were wondering. Okay, so she also said she really appreciates everything I've done and my incredible content dedicated to sharing SEN content for parents. It's fantastic. So that was very much appreciated. She's very lovely. She's been great to work with. And I understand it must be a very difficult position for her to be in. Then it hit the news. So the internet was already kicking up. Everyone was very upset. My DMs are blowing up. Everyone's DMs are blowing up. There's TikToks and there's reels and there's videos everywhere. Everyone's very upset. And the BBC News pick it up. Lots of radio stations talking about it. This is a big, big deal. And Alton Towers at this stage, I'm thinking they've got to do something. They've got to do something. Sorry, not Alton Towers. I'm reading Alton Towers, but it's not just Alton Towers, it's all Merlin. Merlin has to do something in order to respond. And I'm still confident that they're going to put this right. I think they're going to need some help and they're going to need to take some advice. But like I said, ultimately, everyone wants the same thing. We want, as UK theme park families, like my kids especially, adore the theme parks. One of my children especially, well, you know, my Wikipedia is absolutely theme park mad. So this matter, you know, I get so many messages saying that these parks are my children's happy place, and it's so sad that I'm not going to physically be able to take them now because the fast tracks are just so extortionate that in order to pay for that on top of the day out would just make it just not affordable at all. And to take away the Ride Access Pass means it's not a doable day out with neurodiverse kids, and I totally get it, and it is sad. So I'm convinced that they're going to have to do something because ultimately as families, we want to just be able to take our kids out to the theme parks, if that's where they love to be, and for them to be happy and for them to use that Ride Access Pass as they've been doing, which honestly, I don't know. Have you guys been complaining? Have you found the Ride Access Pass unusable? We haven't. But yeah, basically, I think Alton Towers want guests to be happy. We want guests to be happy. We've just got to figure out how to make that happen. So then Friday rolled around. I am going to have a sip of my drink now. Excuse me, guys. For anyone that's been following me on stories, I've been so ill this week. It's only today. It's probably the first day I've been out at all week, other than to the doctors. I've been so unwell, but I'm getting better, but I just need to keep drinking because my throat is still sore. So keep commenting. I'm going to get through a little bit more. I've got a little bit more to say and I'm going to go through all your comments, I promise. Anyway, so this was the email that was sent out. It's very long, so let's break it down. Over the February half term, this is the relevant part. At the 3 parks we are briefly open, we're trialling changes to the Ride Access Pass eligibility criteria. So I'd already heard about this trialling stuff prior to Friday because it was in the statement, which was a very curated statement. And let's face it, it was a very curated statement that I was sent via email. I'd already heard about this, but I think this was news to everybody else. And I was trying to pull together enough information before I could do a video or a live. And honestly, I just sort of wasn't well enough earlier in the week to do this until now. So I'd heard about this, but everyone else was slightly shocked. The other thing in this email is we were sent to a Ride Access Pass survey, which I understand the intention behind it. And if you guys want to do the survey, I have linked it below. So this is something that everybody can do. If you want to take an action, the survey is linked below. So don't click away from the video. If you can manage to do the survey and keep watching and listening, please do. But the survey is linked below. So please do that now if that's something you can do whilst they're watching, or do that later. But unfortunately, the surveys really, really upset people. And I feel like the initial email sent out on Monday, was Monday the 2nd, there were some errors made. It was a little bit of a PR disaster, and it was not worded well. It didn't feel like it was thought through. And I feel like they've made another little bit of a blunder in this survey. So we're going to go through that. So basically, the most of the pages in the survey, you click through and are very similar like this, like which of the following apply in your household? Do you like have one or more Ride Access Pass? You know, so it's questions like, do you have Ride Access Pass? Have you used it before? Are you an annual pass holder? How many times do you go to the parks? Quite basic things. The one that got everyone really upset was like, oh, head in hands. Did no one sense check this? Okay. So if Ride Access Pass capacity cannot safely accommodate all guests, which types of alternative support would your household find helpful? Now, these things, in addition to Ride Access Pass support, amazing, great. If the Ride Access Pass days are full and you choose to then go on a day where it's full, okay, maybe that's your choice. I don't know. And I understand that the Ride Access Pass days have been filling up. I know there have been complaints there. I found when we've been in the parks, it's been fine, but I do know booking those days can be challenging. So I get that. But as someone pointed out, I think one of the comments was like, we're not vampires. This shouldn't be like segregation. It shouldn't be like, because you haven't got the right symbols, these are your options. So the options that they've offered instead of Ride Access Pass are dedicated access days, which would reduce queue pressure. Again, this is why the comment came up about the segregation. It's like, well, you can only come on these days if you have autism. It's like, oh, that's a bit icky, isn't it? We're not sure about that. Early or late entry access hours, more sensory or quiet spaces across the park, additional sensory support options like sensory packs, fidget items, noise reduction tools. So that's like, you know, fidget toys and ear defenders. More detailed pre-arrival information, queue environment, sensory triggers. They didn't say content about filming on rides and what the queues are like and stuff, although I actually think personally that would be helpful. Please someone tell Merlin I'm happy to go and do that, like I've offered before. I do think that is necessary. Improved signage, improved staff training, different form of adjustment, please tell us on the next page, or none of these. Oh, I mean, none of those are going to replace the Ride Access Pass system, are they? That's the problem. And this is what's really upset people. And maybe that wasn't the intention. Maybe they meant, we're going to give we're going to change the symbols so people with autism will obviously be included. Maybe that's what they meant. And then if those days are full, so if you could go, if there was availability, but on those days they happen to be full, what would be helpful if you couldn't get that? Maybe that's what they meant, but that's not how it reads. And this is why people are really, really upset about this question in the survey specifically. And I get it, because it's a little bit of a slap in the face, just a little bit. Okay, so some additional confusion for you. So like I said, before I emailed my contact at Merlin, I logged in to each of the accounts and checked that my kids were still eligible, and they were all still eligible. So 2 of the cards have got this symbol on them, which is the old, can you see that with my cursor? Yeah, you can. The old, like it's like 3 people, and it's the difficulty with queues. What was it? It was called difficulty with queuing and standing or something. It was the old symbol. Anyway, 2 of the kids have got those old cards, and one of them still eligible apparently. Now I don't know if we logged out and logged back in, if that would still be eligible. I don't know, but at the moment that one on that device still eligible. So I then tried to log in on a different device for one of the other children to see if, just to sense check it, to see if it was working, and oh no. So same symbol, okay, same symbol, just to clarify, like same symbol, one of them eligible, one of them not eligible, not eligible, same symbol. So this is why I'm confused. So not only is perhaps the communication leaving a little bit to be desired in its perfection, I'm trying to be as balanced as possible. Honestly, I am, but it's quite challenging. But they're clearly, let's just call them glitches in the system. So we have challenges with communication, and we have challenges with the actual physical system, because that makes no sense to me. I mean, that's the same, right? I'm not making that up. That's the same. And then we've got this third one, which actually is the new card, and that's difficulty with crowds, but that's also got the sometimes urgent need access to toilets, and that one is eligible. So that makes sense, because under even the new trialing criteria, whatever, that one showed as eligible. So we're going to go through some of your comments. Are we ready for this? We're going to go through some of your comments in the comments. I'm going to read some of them from the comments, and then I've got some comments that were sent in on Instagram. So buckle up, because it's going to be a lot. Okay. So Erin, hello, my darling. How will this affect me? I have ADHD and autism, etc. I won't be able to attend these places anymore. Erin, it is my high hope that this is all going to be smoothed out. I hope that Merlin take advice from families that actually use this. Like I said, I'm happy to talk to them. I collaborated with them before. I'm happy to talk to them to explain what is necessary for families who need this. I'm hoping that they're going to fix this. I'm really hoping, Erin and everyone else in the comments that I will scroll down and get to, that it's not that you won't be able to attend these places anymore, that they're going to fix this. Because let's face it, that's what everybody wants. Everyone wants to have nice days out. We want this to be fixed. Kira says hi. Suzanne says hi. Erin says, sounds like they're putting us ADHD and autism under mental health needs, and that's awful. Yeah, that was some really clunky wording, wasn't it? It was not cool. It was, yeah, we'll call that really clunky. Yeah, Robin says, I think filming in scare mazes, etc. would help families who are neurotypical to decide if it's scary for their children too. That's true. I mean, for everybody, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? To be like, actually, is this something we want to do? And then I think personally, I'd be more inclined to book something. Say this wasn't my job, I'm just, like a park goer. If we watch a video and the kids are like, yeah, I want to do that, I'd be more inclined to book that than if I was like, oh, is it going to be too scary? I don't know, but I haven't got any videos to show you, and then just risk it and risk them getting there and hating it. That would be horrific. Kay says, I find it interesting that it is the complete opposite of Disney DAS service. Yep. Interesting. I know it's different countries, different laws and things. I get it, but oof. Victoria says, so disappointing. Theme parks are the one thing my family enjoys together. With 2 neurodivergent teens, it's undoable without help queuing. Victoria, agreed. I'm so glad we've got Disneyland Paris booked. Oh, yes, I'll have a wonderful time. I'm glad you've got it booked too. Melissa says, the damage is already done. Yeah. Comments towards disabled people have been awful. Yeah. Cause a divide. Please. Press release called it queue jumping, which made people full of hate. I feel that won't go away. Yes. The other thing that it has really had, and this is something that this is sort of a very a theme in like my DMs, is there's been so much hate online from families that don't experience this or utilize it. And if you don't know, by the way, I'm going to explain. If you've got a Nimbus access card, it's because you've had to provide like proof, doctor's letters. You cannot. It's not something you can like easily just. It's not like you limp up and be like, oh, I've made something up that I've got, and can I have this card, please? It doesn't work like that. It's not something you can fake. You've got to provide legitimate documentation. It gets sent off. Nimbus are now checking things more thoroughly, as I know, because I had to send additional things. In fact, the additional autism diagnosis wasn't sufficient. It had to be something more recent. And a blanket autism diagnosis wasn't sufficient because that didn't say what the child's current needs were. So they really are checking this thoroughly. It's not about faking things and queue jumping. It's about legitimate needs. So yeah, the damage has been done, Melissa, because I think there is a lot of upsetting comments from people that don't understand what's going on about, yeah, these people shouldn't queue jump. And, yeah, I get it. It's very upsetting. And for everyone that feels very upset, I want to give you a big old hug. Okay. So anyway, Lara says, I've been feeling genuinely saddened by the tone of the online discussions around the Merlin Ride Access Pass changes, particularly when the criticism comes from both the public and within the disabled community. Yep. It's been very, very difficult to read. I've got to say, very difficult. For many neurodivergent people, says Lara again, Ride Access Pass is not a privilege, but an essential access need. Agreed. Seeing that reality dismissed or spoken about unkindly is hurtful and adds to the already isolating experience. Agreed. For me personally, the damage is done. I no longer feel safe or welcome and won't be stepping foot in Merlin Run attraction again. That's so sad that has happened. I totally respect if that's someone's decision, they feel like that. I totally get it. I feel this is a problem with education. Whoever's in charge of accessibility with Merlin just needs some more education around this, and needs to consult people who understand and who get it. So, like I said, please send this to Merlin. I'm happy to talk to them about it. But if they refuse to speak to people and take consultation, then, what can we do? Okay, Sarah says, it's great they have breakout spaces, etc., but it's never going to help the feeling of being penned in and stuck, and the panic starts to set in, the meltdown and general queue. Yes, agreed. The ride access pass / disability queue is quieter, less overwhelming, and overstimulating. It's not always about being quicker. It makes for us it's a sensory issue, and that makes sense. Yeah, totally. Which is why I share tips like when you go to Alton Towers, even in the ride access pass queue, you've got to go through that bit in the Wicker Man that my youngest especially hates, but you can ask to skip that. And then what they do is you literally just walk through it when it's just an empty room, and you don't have to have the whole booming scary bit, because my youngest loves the ride, but that bit is terrifying. The actual roller coaster, she absolutely loves it. That bit, horrible. So this is the thing. I think it's important to be able to share these things to make days in the park more accessible. Okay, Melissa says, I agree, it's really upset me. People saying, why do they go if they find it difficult? I don't think I'd feel safe as a family with constant judgment. That's so sad, Melissa, that's awful. Helium 7 Suze says, sorry if you've already answered this question, just joined the live. Did you check with Nimbus, etc., what each child's digital symbols are now? They've split up the old symbol into 2. No, I haven't actually. So that's a very good point. Have Nimbus now gone in and changed the existing cards, even though we've got a physical? That's a very good question. I haven't checked, but I definitely will. What really confused me though, Helium, if you scroll back through the live, is all 3 of my children were eligible on one day, and then the next day one of them wasn't. So that's confusing. The filming, absolute yes to make a well-rounded judgment for your family, whether you're neurodiverse or not. Sarah, I agree. Aaron says, it makes me cross to have to deal with things because I don't look disabled. I have lots of comments from other members of the public, even when I've attended places. And it makes me sad because I thought we were making more progress with hidden disabilities and discrimination, and not doing it. I thought that talking about, this is why I talk about this stuff, because I feel it's so important to educate each other and to constantly learn about neurodiversity and about hidden disabilities, so that we don't make people feel like poop, because it's not nice. Kay says, my daughter technically still qualifies due to the urgent toilet needs, although it's the autism she needs it for more. Agreed. I think that's the case with my child as well, who has the same thing. But yeah, anyway, let's go to some comments that were sent in. So the survey suggests a misunderstanding of the needs of guests who struggle with crowds, says Gemma. I agree. The survey really did. I had so many comments. This is just one. People really upset by the survey. Yeah, I just feel like whoever is working in the accessibility department just needs to take some advice, some consultation. Yeah, I think that's what's needed, because the survey was a bit of an additional slap. This one summed up so many people's thoughts. What is the world coming to? So much hatred towards invisible disabilities. Being neurodiverse is a constant struggle to keep your head above water with the usual day-to-day living, without having to have a huge anchor weighing you down from the constant fight for inclusion in all aspects of life, education, employment, and simply visiting a place that is meant to have some enjoyment. That sums it up. There has been so much hatred online, and it has been horrible, absolutely horrible. So what can you do? What can we do now? We can complete the survey. I've linked it below. You can check your Nimbus card for symbols and try registering on the app to see if you qualify. In fact, please do that. If anyone could let me know in the comments, which symbols do you have in your Nimbus card? Did you apply for it before December or after December? Again, I don't think this is a Nimbus issue. This is because I know other parks have, since the Nimbus change, are still accepting different symbols. Check your Nimbus cards. I'd love it if you let me know, when did you apply for your card? Like your card, your kid's card, whatever. Which symbols do you have? And if you physically tried to register on the Ride Access Pass app, did it let you in? Did it say, yes, you're in? You basically, if you get into the stage where you can book it, then you're still eligible. Or did it give you that screen that says, sorry, you're not eligible? And the other thing you can do, you can send this to Merlin. So hopefully that we can open a discussion. Yeah, because I think that's what needs to happen. It would make me so sad if, as a family, we can't keep going to these places that my kids love. It would make me so sad, because they genuinely love the parks. But as is the case for so many families, it's not going to be an accessible option for us. It's not going to be an option for us to visit without the Ride Access Pass. So It is really sad. I would add to this list on screen, very well brought up by a lovely person in the comments, maybe message Nimbus and ask if you've got one of the older cards, what are your new symbols? Like, have you got new symbols, or are they still using the old symbols until you get a new card? I don't fully know how that works. So that's a very good question. I didn't even think of, to be honest. So we do need to clear that up. Okay, Susie says, I've now realised I was commenting under my other name. Haha, if we don't laugh, we'll cry. Sarah says, before December runs out 2027, we have crowd and WC. 2 days ago, I was able to reserve a day. Okay, so Sarah, I'm guessing that's because you've got the toilet thing. The toilet thing? If you've got the toilet symbol, the WC symbol, then you're going to be eligible regardless. So that's great for your family. Melissa says, my son is a few years old with the old queue and +1 on the new app, and it's not accepted. Oh, that's so sad. So the old queuing app, the old queuing symbol is no longer accepted either then, from what we can gather from there, unless the cards have been digitally reassigned, and we don't know. We're not sure. Erin says, I have my card and the national disability one too. I have the Q symbol and a +1. So Erin, I'd be really curious to find out, have you tried to log in on the app? Did it let you in? Because like I said, I've had really mixed experience. Like all my kids were eligible and now only 2. If we sign out of that one, will we be able to log back in? I'm not sure. I don't know. So unfortunately, this isn't the exact news I was hoping to bring you. I was really hoping to bring you the news genuinely. When I reached out to Merlin, I was genuinely hoping to come on and say, look, guys, it's all just misinformation and there's been so much confusion and it's fine. It's all fine. And because I logged in and it was working, and like, they're not going to discriminate. It seemed like, like things just don't make sense. I thought there's no way they'd do that. I was so confused. I thought there must be a misunderstanding, and I was going to be delighted to find out the right information and come on and clear it up. Unfortunately, I think what's happened is they've attempted to fix something that they felt was broken. They've made a bit of a blunder from a PR point of view and from an inclusivity point of view in the way they've handled it. They've tried to fix it by calling it a trial. And as some people pointed out, in fact, I've got some more comments from Instagram that I can read out to you guys. Hang on, let's just get this. We'll get this one off, shall we? We'll go back onto full screen. Okay, so I've got some more comments I wanted to read out. So Lara says, cancelled 3 gold memberships. I'll never support Merlin again. Utterly disgusted. That's so sad. Someone else said, also just done the survey and I'm shocked. Suggested access days or hours is not inclusion, it's segregation. We aren't vampires. We aren't vampires only wanting to attend at dusk and dawn. I suggested getting rid of the paid fast pass queue like Efteling. I can't say that, but yeah, we haven't been there before. And see the usual queue become more manageable. Thanks for everything, Ray. Okay. The holiday with me says, I filled it in. I don't think they thought they'd get this much backlash. Honestly, I don't either, because like they definitely wouldn't have done it if they'd known there was going to be this much backlash. I think they genuinely must have thought, hey, we're making it great. And then being really confused when everyone was upset, and then being like, oh yeah, I can kind of see how that was wrong when it was pointed out to them. So Lara says, so they're basically trialing discriminating those with hidden disabilities during the trial. It's like, yeah. Melissa says, they're obviously shocked with the publicity this has caused and now making excuses. Okay. Someone else says there's no need for ASD. This is Studley 75 says there's no need for ASD and ADHD to skip queues. My daughter has both and never had an access pass. I assume she means pass. I mean, it's great for you that your child with autism and ADHD, because it is a spectrum, didn't need that. That's great. If your kid doesn't need that, then that's fine. I think it's quite damaging to say that other people may not need that. I think that is quite damaging. And I think a lot of people may find that quite offensive. 85 Spangles is backtracking. It was never a trial and they likely won't go back on their decision. I think they will. I think they have to. I cannot see a world in which this is allowed to stick. Personally, that's my opinion. Karen says, not happy, poor communication from Merlin. My son has autism and is no longer eligible. It's really sad. Jamie Mary Lee says, the panicking of the backlash, not enough to change it. It's PR 101 response. So that's a guess that they're trying to fix it, as in from PR point of view, they're not going to change anything. Sprinkling gluten-free says, I'm anxious about this. My son's autistic and won't be able to visit anymore. Sad face. I think a lot of people feel the same. Let's have a little dive into the comments here, while also having a drink, reminding myself to drink because I'm still on antibiotics and feeling a bit booey still. I just couldn't sort of leave this any longer, so apologies if I'm like sounding a bit croaky. I just felt that I really did have to speak about this. I had so many people literally saying, will you please make a statement? My DMs have been blowing up. So yeah, and it's difficult because obviously I'm trying to see it from both sides. I always try and see everything from both sides. Maybe I'm a Libra, trying the balance, but I understand it must be a very difficult time to work at Merlin this week. I get it. That must not be a fun place to work in PR or marketing. I get it. But I do feel that something needs to be done. Like I said, I'm willing to speak to them about it. I'm willing to advise in any capacity I can, to collect information from you guys, your thoughts, and to speak to them and see if that we can make improvements, if we can make adjustments, and if we can make this work for everybody. Because ultimately, my children will be devastated if we can never go back to the Merlin parks because they love them, but they won't be able to go back under these current conditions. So if, I'm happy, like I said, tag them in this, send this to them. Please send this to Merlin. Say they're willing to talk to them. If enough of you guys do send it to them, then maybe they'll listen, and maybe together we can make a difference. Susie says the card is a simple queuing one, a digital one, currently have crowds only, have registered Nimbus, change this due to additional knee issues, and successfully registered with the app with bookings. Also requested Nimbus change this due to it. Right, so guess, Susie, if you've got difficulty standing because of your knee, that's probably why it's been allowed. Wee bit of history says, when this came out, I thought of your kids. So many families will no longer be able to enjoy Joys Out anymore, and this is sad. Thank you for thinking of us. And honestly, my kids are very upset about this. I'm going to be honest, they are. Susie says, but signed up prior to 2nd of Feb, keep checking the app, and it still shows. I don't know what will happen, Susie, if you log out and try and log back in. If you want to go to the parks, maybe don't do that. But I don't know. If you've got the knee issue, so it's a standing, you might still qualify just through that. Nicola says, old card with a Q and +1. Let me on, and then when I logged out and back in, it's not eligible. I'm emailed Nimbus to up his date ones to the crowd and +1. Yes, I think that's what happened to us. Like I logged out because obviously just to see who was eligible, and to log in with a different card to try it, and it wouldn't let me back in. Louise says, you can go on the Access Card website and select forgot your details. They will email you digital new symbols. Ah, hang on. I did that. I did that. I did that. I can, hang on. So I've got an Access Card reminder. Reminder for your... Oh no, I've got reminder for your, right. So one of them, when I requested the card detail, the reminder for the 2 cards that were prior to Christmas, they just said, here is a reminder email for your registered access pass. And then it was the number of the card. But the one that I applied for, or the one that got granted since Christmas, they sent me in that email, difficulty, it said standing and queuing, and then under that it went difficulty with crowds, and then urgent access to toilets. So when I requested that, it's a very good point, but when I requested that, it only gave me the more information on the auto system and Nimbus with the symbol. It only emailed me the symbol explanation for the newer cards, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But I'm sure I can email them, and like a human could help me, I'm sure. Erin says, thank you so much for this library. It's definitely helped me. I'm so glad. I'm sorry. I'm just so sorry I've not got better news. I hope I will have better news. I would love to speak to Merlin to explain the needs of neurodiverse families and to get something in place that works for everybody. I would love that. That is my hope. That's my, let's all hope that happens. But I hope I can come back with better news. Like I said, people, send this to Merlin, okay? Just send it. Send to Merlin. If everyone does that, hopefully we'll get somewhere. Hopefully we can make some positive changes. Sarah says Merlin will lose millions by doing this. They are a business and think of money first. Surely they cannot stay, but they will have to see this through. It's been released to the world. I don't know. I think there's a lot. I think it's like, I say this to kids, it's like, it is a big girl, it's a big boy thing to do, to say, I messed up and I'm sorry. I think there is value in being able to say, do you know what? I'm not perfect. We're humans. Let's face it, the people behind Merlin are humans that sometimes mess up. I mess up. Everyone messes up. And it's very difficult when you are online, when your business is online. Let's face it, if you have a business these days, you're online and you're open to huge criticism. I think there's a lot of value in saying, I messed up and I want to fix it and I'm sorry. I think there's value in that. I think I have more respect for people that do that in my real life as well as on, online in business, than people that kind of fudge it. I think you're better off saying, messed up, sorry, let's make it right. What can we do to make it right? So that's what I'm hoping they're going to do. Melissa says, thank you, Ree. It's nice to have a safe place to talk about it. I hope this is your safe place. I'm glad that this is your safe place. Peter says, thanks for sharing your thoughts about this. Like I said, I just wish it was not just my thoughts, but it's something a bit more helpful. I want to say thank you for using your platform to open up this discussion, says Lara. Well, that's it's kind of what I started all this many years ago, before I even realized my kids were neurodiverse. And it was when people were like, how do you manage with 4 kids? And it was like, with a whole load of hacks to hold my life together. I did not realize I was trying to hack ADHD the whole time. I thought I was just trying to hack mum life. So it started there, just sharing the things that I had to figure out the hard way, that I wish someone had shared with me. And then sort of evolved into this. Obviously, this is my second channel. And now podcast. Please listen on the podcast. In fact, let's put the podcast information on screen so you can all go and subscribe to the podcast. Where's the podcast information? Magical Adventures podcast. Woo! You can listen to this on podcast. So it started as that, and then basically when we were traveling, and then obviously set up the second travel channel, I just wanted to share all of the stuff so that when people are going on trips, then they can have all the information that I would have liked, and I can share that information so that when people are going on their trips, they can really maximize them. People spend a lot of money on their trips. They're magical moments with their families, especially when you've got additional challenges at home. It's that amazing breaking those magical memories with your family. And when I get your comments, and literally people getting straight off the plane, they're back from Disney, or just like people who've been living near haunted house for years and said they've never braved going until they've seen the videos that I've done, and now they feel confident to go to the parks. Perhaps not at the moment, but they've previously felt confident enough to go to the parks since seeing the videos. And that means the world to me. So I do feel very passionately about this, and I feel passionately about talking about it because I feel if we can all show a bit more understanding about these things, the world is going to be a better place for my kids, which ultimately is what we all want, isn't it? We want to make the world a better place because we all have a bit better understanding. So hopefully that's what this is doing. Erin says, thank you. I think you should run it, Ree. Could you imagine how great it would be for all of us? Well, I'm happy to consult. I'm not sure if I have time to run it, but I would love to consult with them. I would. Amanda says, I have an access card. I would still be eligible for this Ride Access Pass, but not DAS. So that's the Walt Disney World version. I understand how everyone is affected is feeling, but the DAS still discriminates in a lot of ways. Yes, that's a whole different topic for another day, but yes. Nicola says she's had to stop reading the comments on social media as it makes me feel sick. And I definitely would recommend that. If this is upsetting you, step away from it. This is a safe space, but not all corners of the internet are. So definitely that's a very, very sensible thing to do for your mental health. This is something I learned in COVID about limiting my exposure to certain media and following and muting anything that I find traumatic and upsetting. Peter says, thanks for sharing this. I've shared your video to Merlin and asked them to contact you, re-advise, consultation, support, etc. Hopefully this will get sorted out ASAP. Peter, thank you very, very much. If anyone else is able to do that, I'd be super grateful. Email them, spam them in the comments, in the DMs. I don't know. I think DMs are quite difficult because when you get some DMs, they sort of go to your requested folder. They don't always get read if you're a business account. So I guess comment on their posts or email. I don't know, just anything that hopefully they'll see. If you guys can email them, or if you can fill in that survey. I've linked the survey down below if you are watching on YouTube, and I will try and remember to do the same when I upload it to the podcast. So fill in the survey and just tell them to get in touch with me. They know who I am. Okay, Sarah says absolute value in owning their mistake, and hopefully we'll gain the respect back from our neurodiverse public. We can only hope. That's my hope. That would be the smart move. If I was like consulting, like taking my like if I wasn't me and I was a PR consultant, that's what I'd done to do. Okay, if I wasn't, if I wasn't like coming from a point of view of mother in a neurodiverse family, that would be the smart move, wouldn't it? But it's what I tell my kids to do. Honestly, it's like, do you know what? If you've messed up, say sorry and make it right. That's a big girl thing to do, you know? Nicola says, we're still able to use the Ride Access Pass system as our other son has urgent toilet needs, but I'm frustrated for my autistic son who's been discriminated against. Thank you for your hard work. Well, Nicola, like I said, I just wish I could do more. Melissa says, Florida series was amazing. Yeah, thank you. The fact you used the app on screen to show us where you went. So detailed. I was prepared, but I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, see, this is why the editing for these videos takes such a flipping long time. So I, when we do like a series and things, I like upload one episode a week because I spend such a long time, like literally each theme park vlog probably takes a couple of days to edit, like full work days, because I do find it's important. I take screen recordings and things when I'm in the parks because I want to put them in to show what you're doing and maps and locations and stuff, because this is the information that we need in order to maximize our time. We spend a lot of money to go to these places. We don't want to spend time wandering around, wondering what on earth we should be doing, going to the wrong place, kids crying, like that's not what we want to be doing. We want to be planning, we want to be prepared, and that's why I share this information, because I feel really passionately about it. I don't know if you can tell. I do feel very, very passionately about it. So fingers crossed, we're going to get somewhere. So you can fill in the survey that's below, email Merlin with your thoughts, tag them on social media, DM them, comment on the posts, share this with them. There should be a link. Just share this live stream with them. The podcast episode I will upload very shortly, so that'll be there too. Check out the Magical podcast. It's let me see, what do you do if you just search on your podcast? Obviously if you're already listening on the podcast, apologize. If you want to find the podcast, you search, what's it called? Oh gosh, I can't remember what I called it. Magical Adventure Chats with Ree, something like that. Magical Adventure Chats with Ree, or you just go to mummyof4.com/magic podcast and that'll link you to it. But yeah, Magical Adventure Chats with Ree, I think that's what I called it. That's terrible, isn't it? I can't remember what I called my podcast. But basically any of these chatty videos that are not a vlog, theme park vlogs are just going to be theme park vlogs. But if it's not a vlog, if it's like information like we're delivering now, or if I'm doing like tips or anything, then all of those episodes will also be available on the podcast if you want to listen on the go, because I kind of like listening to a podcast on the school run or something. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that too. So I hope that was helpful. I'm sorry it wasn't better news. I genuinely hope I can come back to you very, very soon with better news. That is my hope, and that we can all get back to the theme parks and have a wonderful time and it'll all be okay. That's my hope. That's my very optimistic hope for the future. Yeah, so if anyone is feeling really down and impacted by everything that's gone on, not just what's happened with Merlin, but the backlash that's come from all angles, and some of the media coverage that's quite frankly been disgusting about, oh, people shouldn't be doing that anyway, sort of, ugh. It's really given me the ick too. So if anyone needs it, I'm sending you a huge internet hug, and fingers crossed we can make some real progress on this soon. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.